Hey there, Nopenguin here, and Yu-Gi-Oh! Is an expensive game. I don't think there's anyone who will deny that. Any event-winning deck will run you in the hundreds of dollars to complete. I wouldn't blame you for thinking you have zero way to make a competitive deck on a budget. However, that is incorrect. There are so many decks that you can make on budget and still be competitively viable. And I know what you're thinking. Nopenguin, is this a deck where you're just gonna show us an absolutely tier 5 deck, all because it's inexpensive? Absolutely not. I'm not just gonna show you any viable deck. I will build a top tier deck on a budget. This is Dollar Store Dueling, and today we will be setting our sights on building a budget Spright deck. And here it is. This is my Dollar Store Spright budget list totaling $40. Yes, for only $40, you can be playing one of our Tier 0 Overlords, Spright. Now, I will address the elephant in the room. Because we are playing a $40 build of the deck, we do not have access to Spright Blue, the single most expensive card in the archetype, nor do we have access to Splight's starter, the E-Telly. However, by the end of this video, I hope I can show you that those cards, while really good, are not necessary. But the proof is in the pudding, so let's get into the card by card so we can get into the replays. To start us off, we have the best card in the deck, Triple Spright Jet. Outside of the two cards that I mentioned, the Spright cards are actually super cheap because everybody is opening Power of the Elements, making it so much more easy to find the super rare and lower cards. Spright Jet is only going to cost you about 14 or 15 cents per copy, which is just fine. I'm sure you all know what these do, but if you control a level or rank 2 monster, you can special summon this card from your hand, and when summoned this way, you can go ahead and add a Spright spell trap from your deck to your hand. We don't have starter, but we have a card that the regular Spright decks don't play. Next we have Spright Red. If we control a level 2 or link 2 monster, not rank, link 2 monster, you can special summon this from your hand. And when your opponent activates a monster effect, as a quick effect, you contribute one other level 2, rank 2, or link 2 monster you control, negate that effect, and if you attribute something from the extra, destroy that card. Next we have Triple Spright Carrot, the exact same effect except it's spell traps. Finally, our last Spright main deck monster, Spright Pixies. Spright Pixies is a really weird card. Spright Blue and Jet add cards from the deck to the hand, Spright Red and Carrot negate cards. What does Pixies do? Pixies is honest? For some reason. The fact that it's just a dark level 2 you can special summon from a hand is good enough. Next we have Triple Deep Sea Diva. Funnily enough, I thought I'd have to play the Nimble Beaver for this, but it turns out Deep Sea Diva is actually cheaper, just because it's had more printings. And that's great, because this actually gives us Hulk access, and yes, we are playing Hulk. Next we have 2 Plague Spreader Zombie. It's a level 2 Dark Tuner that can special summon itself back from the graveyard. It is everything that we want to see in this deck. Next up are hand traps. We are playing 9 of them. We have Triple Ghost Ogre and Snow Rabbit, Triple Effect Veiler, and Triple Psyframe Gear Delta. Delta is exactly like Gamma, except instead of negating monster effects, it is spell cards. We didn't have the budget to play Gamma, but we still wanted to play with some of the Psyframe gear for emergency teleports, so Delta was the next best thing. Of course, driver for the Delta, Triple E-Telly like I said. This lets us special summon out the Delta, which again is a level 2 and as well a tuner. Next we have our Spright spells, Double Spright Smashers. This is an interesting card. You can think of it like a Spellbook of Fate. Much like Spellbook of Fate, it's not that good actually. The effect here is that we banish a Spright monster from our graveyard to activate the effect to banish a level, rank, or link 2 monster we control and a card your opponent controls. Now this is a non-targeting banish effect, which is good, but the fact that you have to remove one of the cards from your field as well as banishing another from the graveyard just makes this a little costly. And now the other Spright card, one that I am not seeing any Spright decks playing, this is Spright Gamma Burst. All level 2, rank 2, or link 2 monsters you currently control gain 1400 attack. Now Spright's already pretty decent at making a board to go for game, this just makes it a bit easier. And you can only use one of these effects per turn, but if it's in the graveyard, you can banish it, then target a level rank or link 2 monster you control, and it just gains 1400 attack. Only that one monster. Then we have Called by the Grave. And now some budget traps. We have Dimensional Barrier. God bless this card's countless reprints. This is so cheap and so powerful. On a similar note, we have Solemn Strike. Now, you can be playing Judgment, you can be playing Warring, but I think Strike is the best of the three. Now, to the extra deck. We play Herald of the Arclight. It's just a good onboard negate, though I do want to mention if you have this on the field, you cannot activate your Ghost Ogre or your Effect Veiler from your hand. We have one number 45, Crumble Logos, the Prophet of Demolition. Then we have two Sky Cavalry Centauria. This card is amazing. Cannot be destroyed by battle while it has material. At the end of a damage step, if a battled opponent's monster detaches material, return that monster to the hand. Unfortunately, we do not have the budget to play AA Zeus, but this is some really effective spot removal regardless. Then we are playing one Onobimaru Soul Sweeper. Then we have double Gigantic Spright. This card is the heart and soul of this deck. Two level 2 monsters. For the XC summon, you could also use a Link 2 you control as a level 2. The original attack of the card doubles if you have a Link as material. And during your main phase, activate this effect, attach a material, and if you do, special summon a level 2 monster from your deck, but neither player can special summon cards for the rest of the turn except level 2, rank 2, or Link 2 monsters. I am so glad that this card has just gone down in price. You can find it as low as $3 as of making this video, so there's no reason for me not to play 2. Our final Xyz is number 65, Djinn Buster. Two level 2 dark monsters, and it has an effect during either player's turn. When an opponent's monster's effect is activated, you can detach 2 materials from this card to negate the activation, then burn your opponent. Notably, it does not destroy the card it negates. On to the links, we have Nightmare Unicorn, one Nightmare Phoenix, one Dark, one Hita, then we have Lambda. This allows us to still use our Delta from hand if we still control a monster. Then we have one Crystron Halqifibrax. Did you know you could find this card as low as $1? I genuinely couldn't believe it until I saw it, but yep, Halqifibrax is actually a budget option now. And for our most non-budget option, we have Spright Elf. This is by far the most expensive card in the deck, and that's why we're only playing it at 1. But you really need to, as this does so much for the deck. 2 monsters, including a level rank or Link 2 monster, cannot be used as Link material the turn it is Link summoned. Your opponent cannot target monsters as card points to with card effects, and during the main phase, quick effect, target a level 2, or if your opponent controls a monster, you can target a rank or Link 2 monster, special summon it. You can activate it during your turn, and then again during your opponent's turn, being able to bring back your Spright Reds, bring back your Spright Carrots, just having more things on the field, just being able to really build out your board. I love it. And that is the deck. This is $40 Spright. But can I put that money where my mouth is? The proof is in the pudding, so let's get into the replays. Our first replay is up against Raid Raptors of all things. I get to go first, so I'll normal Plague Spur, summon the Jet. I have 2 other Jets in hand that I cannot special summon. I'll Gigantic Spright, and yeah, I guess that's how it is. I'll set to and pass because again, these Jets cannot be special summoned. They draw, they're going to go for a Curtain Raiser. Curtain Raiser just special summon himself out. Normal summon Vanishing Ladies, go into the some more card. Use it so they can dump that same card to grab the Field Spell. Field Spell then activate. They'll go into the Vanishing Lanius to go and Strangle Lanius, go into Force Strix. Force Strix will go ahead and grab Tribute Lanius using the Field Spell to get the extra normal summon. Tribute Lanius will go ahead and send Mimicry. Mimicry banish itself for Nest. Nest will activate, grabbing themselves Pain Lanius from the deck to the hand. Pain Lanius targeted, become a level 4, take 1100. Then they'll go into Wise Strix. I know this is the card to hit, so I will go ahead and Solemn Strike that. Then they'll go into Force Strikes to grab another card. This is not a once per turn. They're going to go for Stinging Lanius. Raiders Knight, I want to bash that Raiders Knight, but they have the Phantom Knight Ranko. And they banish 6 to go into Ultimate Falcon. For those of you who do not know, this card is unaffected by other card effects. It is a 3500 wall, and I'm going to have to beat over it. Spright Smashes is not the best, but any card is good for Plague Spider. Some of the Jet will go ahead and grab Gamma Burst, very important. Then we'll Halqifibrax, go into another Plague. Now we can go to Spright, get its 3200 attack, go into Red, and use Gamma Burst to boost our Gigantic Spright to bring him more than the Gigantic Falcon. And that is why Ultimate Falcon is not a good card. They will draw, get nothing, they'll pass turn, go to us, and we could just go ahead and attack for game. Our next replay is up against Based Despia. I get to go first, I'll summon the Plague Spider, go for Karen, and I really only have Arclights, not that great of a field. They get to go. They'll go for Allure of Darkness. Of course, they have the Tragedy in hand to go ahead and grab Dramaturge. They'll use their base card. I will use the Arclight here to stop that. They will opening, sending the chain here. resolve the effect, then they'll go ahead and get the Eluber, get the chain. Eluber's gonna grab this freaking card, rebrand it. This sucks. They're gonna go for Patchwork, then they'll go for Brand of Fusion. I have the Dimensional Barrier, so I can stop that Brand of Fusion from going through. They will Edge Chain, they will attack, main phase 2, end phase, and I really gotta get not pixies. Whatever, I could go into the Plague Spreader. Because I summoned a monster, they get to special summon this guy back that can add a card for the end phase. I go into Hulk Fibrax, and because my Plague Spreader banished, it can shuffle it back to draw a card. There's just so much advantage off this goddamn card. Gigantic Spright here, go into Jet. Jet will go ahead and grab us the Gamma Burst. Gamma Burst will boost us enough to where we can beat over the chain, beat over the base dragon, but they have 6 cards in hand. 7's are in the end phase here, as you'll soon see. I'm going to Sprite Elf, bring Carrot back, and 7, there it is. Oh my god. And they draw a lure, of course, why wouldn't they? They use their Dark Worm. I'll go ahead and special summon this from the graveyard so it can't summon itself. Rebrand it because I summoned a monster, lets them get another guy, but I will not let that go through. They will distribute summon it, go for the lure into the tragedy once again, then they'll special summon the Lubellion, use that effect to send that to the graveyard. I figure I will smash this here just so I can hopefully not get Chimera right now, but they just go into Masquerade instead. Dramaturge, branded in red, they will go into another Blazing Dragon. Then they'll add Libedium, go ahead and special summon the Tragedy. Luckily, they cannot attack with that second Masquerade, but I have 900 life points and I don't really have much to go. I draw, and yeah, that's not going to do it. And that was the deck. It's pretty apparent this is not as good as regular Spright. Not having access to blue, but more importantly, not having access to starter is a huge hindrance. That little engine of Jet being able to grab a card that can then add another card keeps your resources high, while this deck really runs out of resources fast. Because instead of adding something like Starter to get more advantage, we're going to add something like Smashers that costs us a lot of advantage. But as a stupid fun deck to bring to locals, I really enjoyed it. You can still do a lot of the things the Sprites are known to do, of course with just a bit less longevity. If you have the cards or are willing to splurge for it, sneaking in the Frog Engine will do a lot to help this deck's overall power level and resilience. But I wanted to see how cheap I can make Sprites while still technically being a Sprite deck. But that is the end of the video. Like if you like, subscribe if you want to see more. I am Nopenguin, Dollar Stool Duelist, signing out.